My name is Megan Bradley. I'm a biologist with Genoa National Fish Hatchery with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and we're going to talk about the life cycle of freshwater mussels. We have a diagram of the life cycle here, and we're going to start down here with the adult stage of the mussel. So a mussel is a shell just like you'd find at the beach. And then you can see in the image there's a foot, which is how the mussel burrows, and then a lure. Freshwater mussels have unique relationships with fish, and they require them to host their larval stage. And the lure is actually part of the mantle of the mussel that actually grows the shell. It's made up of, it looks a lot like a little fish, so we have a tail and an eye spot and bars along the side. The mussel is able to move this lure, and a fish would come down and actually take a bite at it and inhale the larval stages of the mussel from the gill where they're being held. Those larval stages are known as Glaucidia, and they look like little Pac-Men. They would be about the size of a grain of salt divided in thirds. They're translucent, and all they can do is open and close. Those larval stage attach to the gills of the fish and would stay on those gills for about 14 days. We have a smallmouth bass here it's green with bars along its side, and then a cutout microscope image of the gills of the fish with red bars across that are actually the gill filaments, and white mussels in development on the gill. These tiny mussels have just started to develop, and in the time on the fish will actually grow from being the simple Pac-Man that can only open and close and can't survive on their own to being a juvenile mussel and able to burrow and feed on their own in the environment. The last image is of the juvenile stages of our freshwater mussels. These are actually the same size as the Glaucidia, so they're a third of a grain of salt in size. They have two shells, and then they have a foot. And in this image is from a microscope, and there are many juvenile mussels crawling around. These larval stages of the mussels are going to eat bacteria and algae in the environment, and they're going to eventually grow up to achieve that same adult image that we started with, and then begin reproducing on their own. This is the life cycle of our freshwater mussels, and this is exactly how a Higgins eye is going to reproduce out in the Mississippi River.
My name is Heidi Quiller. I'm a fish habitat biologist with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and I'm located here at the Midwest Fisheries Center in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I stand in front of you today with my uniform on and in front of my favorite freshwater mussel poster. You can see the many different species that we have in nearby rivers and lakes. Today I'm going to talk to you about the conservation importance of freshwater mussel and the cultural and ecological importance. Freshwater mussels, also referred to as clams by some, are found in flowing rivers and also streams, creeks, but they can also be found in some lakes. They are among the longest lived invertebrates, surviving as long as 100 years. Did you know that we have the highest number of mussel species in the world here in North America? Worldwide, there are 890 known freshwater mussel species, and about 300 of them live in North America. Of those 300 species, 33 are considered to be extinct, and in the United States, 91 are listed as threatened or endangered. Freshwater mussels are the most endangered organism in the United States due to overharvest, water pollution, and dams separating mussels from their host fish, which their survival really depends on. Dams prevent fish from migrating upstream to spawn or gain access to other habitat or food needs, and this prevents mussels from moving as well. In North America, historically, some of the highest number of mussels have been found in the Midwest within the Ohio River Basin and the southeastern part of the country in the Cumberland River Basin. Mussels are found throughout Iowa, inhabiting rivers like the Des Moines, Iowa, Pinicon, and Maquoketa rivers and their tributaries. Cultural and ecological importance. Freshwater mussels are culturally significant because they were harvested by Native Americans and early pioneers for food, jewelry, and tools. before the development of plastic buttons were made from mussel shells. Freshwater pearls are still cultured today by inserting small pieces of native mussel shell into oysters. Mussels play an important role in our aquatic ecosystems. Food source. Mussels play a critical role in the food web because they serve as a food source for different kinds of wildlife, including crayfish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Even some species of fish eat mussels, like the freshwater drum. Substrate or riverbed. Mussels can be found scattered along the bottom of a stream or river, or they can be found in groups called beds. These mussel beds help stabilize or hold down the river bottom and can provide habitat for plants, algae, insects, fish, and other aquatic organisms. Empty shells can serve as nesting sites for small fish like darters. Indicators of a healthy environment. Mussels are an indicator species of water quality and play an important role in rivers by filtering water constantly as they breathe and feed. They improve water quality by filtering out algae, bacteria like E. coli, and other pollutants, but in doing so, they accumulate contaminants in their bodies. Some species of mussels are very sensitive to pollutants, so we know that where we have high numbers of mussels, we have better water quality.